Peace, y'all. I just wanted to start this episode off by taking a few minutes to commemorate and memorialize the great Chelsea Reject, who just passed away this past week. We don't know why, but legend of the underground rap scene, kind-hearted, incredibly talented soul, alum of Real Notes. I just wanted to say rest in peace to someone whose music and presence impacted so many people. I'm going to include a link to her GoFundMe for services and for the family. So if you can, please donate and share. Appreciate y'all. Welcome back to Real Notes. Peace. My name is Dylan CineMasai Green, and welcome to the Real Notes podcast. I speak with rappers, producers, journalists, and other hip-hop adjacent figures about their relationship with movies and, if at all, film inspires their craft. My guest this week is Idaho-born rapper, producer, poet, composer, and founder of Anticon, Doseone. We spoke about Severance, bonding over peak Arnold Schwarzenegger with his father, the works of David Lynch and Werner Herzog, lessons learned over his 25-plus years in indie rap, his time as a composer for indie games, white rappers, and the creative process behind his latest album, All Portrait, No Chorus, produced entirely by Steel Tip Dub and out now via Backwood Studios. Come fuck with us. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to Real Notes. This is the third episode of season 5. I don't know why I keep saying this, but I'm still getting used to being back. I think it's mostly because I'm using new tech to record all this stuff, so it's like everything's new again, which is both good and like the tiniest bit terrifying. But my name's Dylan Green, CineMasai, got a lot of names, do a lot of shit outside, inside, all sides, and I'm man, we're with indie rap royalty today, man. This is somebody who's been in he's come at this from every angle, from different dimensions, from different all sorts of areas. Man, like co-founder of Anticon, fucking member of like 8 different groups. This is a rapper, a poet, visual artist, composer, which I just learned pretty recently, so I'm kind of geeked about that for a couple of reasons that I don't want to spoil. But he's been all over the place. He's a wizard. Welcome, Doseone. Peace to Doseone.
What's going on,
Adam,
man? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Honestly, like when we first connected. Where did we first connect? Was it at the Shrapnel show or not?
Yes, sir. It sure was. I came out. We were actually secretly finishing the record that's out now. And then, I fucking came out. I sort of snuck that on the back of just wanting to support Controller 7 in his rebirth, which was making Nobody Planning to Leave, which is a pretty fucking perfect rap record. And get some time with all the homies, and it was great, man. I got to meet you in passing, and everybody really, have a perfect night.
And now that I'm thinking about it, I was just thinking about this last night. That was the night that you hopped in on that cipher. That like yes. I feel like everyone in our circles has been chatting about this cipher. That like everyone's like, if they weren't there, like y'all missed something. Y'all missed something special that night. That's I have all the footage like on my computer. Like I shot the whole thing. So like
yeah, I'm someone who has always had a cipher problem before I even had the opportunity to record any of my own voice. I was cipher rap. That's actually a humble but perfect way to begin a rap career. So, the second I'm around Curly, I'm like, yeah, we're doing this. It's called rap. Yeah.
Trial by fire, like yep. That's how it's got to be. Cuz it was you, it was Castro, it was Akai hopped in, Sketch 185 hopped in.
Yep.
Who am I forgetting? Because Q no rap name was the person who was beatboxing.
He was
Shout
beatboxing. Yep.
But who am I forgetting? Am I forgetting people?
Someone else was rapping, but who? No, actually, it might have just been the 4 of us.
Yeah.
I think I'm right, but everyone was there, hearts open. You know what I'm saying? Cypher style.
Shit.
Yep.
Yeah, man. But yeah, so it was there, and then at the last Shrapnel show that happened like barely a month ago, where you guys played where you and Dove played All Portrait No Chorus, which obviously is out now via the
Yep.
almighty Backwoods.
Indeed.
Which, like, yeah, I mean, I've been listening to it a lot these last couple days just to really get my head around it again, and like, damn, like, I don't know, like we'll talk about it, but like, incredible stuff, man. Like, just
Thank
like
you.
just like the way you approach words really kind of like it's like my brain's being rewired listening to this stuff, you know. So it's been really nice to settle in with that. So thank you. I mean, like, I know it was a labor of love, and you've kind of been in, and you've kind of had like one foot in and one foot out of rap for a while for reasons. Also, before I forget, I wanna shout out Blake Gillespie for the incredible piece he wrote for Bandcamp
Yep.
on you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like, there's like nothing I can say or do here is gonna match what Blake did in that piece. Like, go read Blake's piece because it's fantastic and it's got all the info you need. But yeah, so like that's, yeah, like really digging into that and like really getting as much of the history as I could was just, I'm still kind of blown by it. So
And I had been loosely in touch with Blake prior, and then like a fan of his writing. Saw some pieces he wrote about Andrew Broder and some other shit, and then also met him officially at that Shrap show where I met you for the first time, and we had
crazy.
like great conversations, and had planned to do this anyway. And I let him in on the secret that we'd be rebirthing an old man with this Dove record, and let's coordinate that article with that. And it was beautiful, man. Blake is like yourself, like most, in my experience, most press is an opportunity to be misunderstood, and then to be with people like you and feel seen and appreciated. It's all I want. Less is more with that. I expect so little from the universe, but to actually be there, have quality conversations, and speak to someone who gets it. Because Blake had been pitching articles on me since I was a younger old man, and it just was never sticking. You know what I'm saying? So this was nice to have it come back, be comprehensive, and like about the right shit.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, like it means a lot to hear. Like, I don't know. Like, I've been doing this for a little while, like just like writing and all this. Like, I've been doing this for about a decade, but I really feel like I'm at a point now where like I feel like I'm ready, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like the last 10 years have kind of been practice, and I feel like fully formed and ready to be perceived.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
there's
I
an
get,
art,
yeah.
there's like a real art to bringing what's interesting out of artists who maybe can tune completely in for the creation of a thing, but it's not easy to like speak about it in a way that throws more light on it. You know what I'm saying? So I think
Yeah.
like being in the care of you guys is super important, and like yeah, man, it's great. It's really, and also it's like it's fucking hard to be a journalist in this world, and like the things that usually make you money require you to like write about Drake or whomever, and it's like how you gonna do that and do this all at once? It's very complicated, and honestly, I think there's like between the people that do it artistically and comprehensively, there's a lot in common between the artist and the journalist who gives a fuck more than there is not in common.
Yeah, I'm just honored to be trusted. That's really it.
Right.
Like, y'all give so much of yourselves in the music and what you do, like especially you. So like I just want to give that back however I can, and the way I like to give that back is by talking to people about their relationship with movies. So
Yes.
so please, like I've been eagerly anticipating some of these answers you're about to give. So let me ask you the first question I ask everybody who comes
Please.
on here, which is what was the last movie or TV show you watched that you had a strong opinion about?
Oh man. Well, I suppose we recently binged fucking Severance.
Okay, let's talk about
Yeah,
that.
it is. I had it's just so many fucking subscriptions hung around my neck. I never really dug in, and then we got into it. And rest in peace, David Lynch. It's the first thing I've really watched that pulled me into a world and gave me the feels and supported it by outdoing itself. Like, well written, well composed. It's all I ever want is to be taken away by a world, and I'm comfortable in it, but thrilled about it being ongoing, you know. So I got fucking immersed, man. I think it's really excellent fucking work. And like a lot of things are okay that I consume, but this is stellar. And I can't believe it's fucking Ben Stiller, who I can't like generally hate. I try, you know, it's like anyone who does like weed comedies or comedies in general, it's so hard for me to really appreciate the high art, you know, of it. But he's outdoing himself.
Hey man, Ben Stiller's got a lot of shades, you know. Like I've seen, because like I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, like Zoolander came out when I was growing up. I felt like I was the only person on planet Earth who didn't love that movie.
Yeah, man.
Like all my friends love it. I just but you know, like I have like I have my Ben Stiller movies I love. I love Meet the Parents. I love there's Dodgeball.
That's probably one of the better ones. Yeah,
Dodgeball's a fucking classic. But you know, like it's been interesting to see him and like remember that he is like kind of like a producer and director at heart, and to see him really put all his energy and effort into Severance the way he did, like cause like when I first heard about it and started watching it last year. I'm not caught up yet, but like I'm probably about a quarter, maybe like halfway through season 1.
Okay.
But like my sister and my partner are both like, you need to watch this. Like it's very you. Like I'm a big high concept sci-fi person. Like,
same.
So like I hear the concept and I'm like, this sounds like some Charlie Kaufman being John Malkovich type shit. I'm in. You know, like easy. But yeah, like you said, like really well composed, like super, like it's kind of amazing that something at the level of like Apple TV, like it's amazing that Apple threw money at them to make something like this. Yes. You know, like I never take it for granted when the studios feel like, okay, we can like we want to make this special. We want to make this like look cool and look good and really feel meaningful. I mean, like, just in case anybody doesn't know what Severance is about, like, how do I even explain what Severance is about? Every single person has like, they're called innies and outies. Like there's like a whole society, like a little like office, like a little like cubicle office culture, like, of people living inside people who like kind of sort of control your emotions, but not really. I don't know how to explain Severance. It's just one of those things you.
I love that they're, it's really well executed. One of the things I love is, like, speaking of Apple money and getting an okay that leads to something that's excellent, is like there's this layering of the plot. They created some like digital artifacts that sort of precede the story. And then I think you would get this like, there's a lot of trad, oh no, this company's controlling me thing. But then this has this wonderful layer of people actually. I think what's delightful about it is the like metaphor of selling your soul for an occupation is within this, but it's elaborate, and all of the employees who go in to be innies or outies have consigned to this because the world is worse than indentured servitude. So indentured servitude, it's actually like it's like the light part of their day. And actually, yeah, I think it's really even on just the surface layers, you can relate to this. And then the mystery of it is like control of you, but there's also this like life-giving that the corporation is doing in spite of you. You know, they'll give you a lesser life for free. And that makes the person who has all of life at their disposal more willing. It's really, honestly, man, it's like, it's the story of working a gig, you know, but it's beautifully displayed. And then you're kind of, I guess in this world, I think that's the other cool thing too, is like things like The Preacher approached the God problem in a new way that's like refreshing, and this is actually approaching the like indentured servitude of corporate lifestyle, and it's sucking you in this completely original way, and you find out that there are worse things you can imagine a company doing than just owning you forever. It's actually, this is like a creativity thrust upon something we all know, and it's scarier, it's worse, being fucking cloned and manipulated and kept by a company in the name of being afraid of the possibilities and ramifications of the life you actually also lead. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah, like like as somebody who spent quite a bit of time working in corporate culture in an office for like probably about 4 or 5 years, like like the open floor plan, the you don't have health insurance, but we'll buy you pizza every like 2 3
Yes.
weeks, and like be happy and grateful. There's snacks, like that type of shit. And it's like like I felt it on that level, and then everything you just said like reminds me of one of my recent favorite sci-fi movies is this joint called Moon that must have come out like a
Yes.
decade ago,
Yeah.
with Sam Rockwell.
Great film.
Yeah, Duncan Jones, who's David Bowie's son, he wrote and directed
What?
it. It's yeah. Duncan Jones is David Bowie's son.
Whoa.
Fun fact.
All right. Okay.
But movie's incredible. I mean, like, I don't need to tell you, you've seen it. It's incredible. For
Brilliant.
anybody who hasn't seen it, go watch Moon. It's also the only movie with Kevin Spacey in it that I feel comfortable watching because he's not actually in the movie. It's just his voice. He's the computer man. But or I said the computer man. He's the robot. But either way,
The howl of the whole thing. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. But yeah, like just in the sense that like that's also a movie about like corporate greed going to the point of like cloning a man and making him think that he's a real person, and like even going through the whole like indentured servitude, like are clones human? Like that's always going to be a really complex and difficult topic to dig into, especially if you're going to be like esoteric and abstract about it the way that Severance is. Because Severance is like,
there's something I really enjoy about Severance too, that is these people are like recreated in a vacuum of this employment, but something I got to in therapy and life is like, what is your raw self before the world dilutes it, reroutes it, binds it to survival, which is most jobs. It's a high key survival, complex survival thing. And I think that is something that is done by the artists creating this, because that is like the crux of all art, is like, who were you before the world got a hold of you? I think there's something better than the working world and A's and B's in school and Shakespeare and truancy and trouble and drugs. But that gets distorted, so like getting back in touch with that, what is that? I see that a lot in people too, where you'll see like a hard rock, but then you see him interact with someone and you're like, that's also a sensitive man. You know what I'm saying? Like you see like the blueprint of being caring and who they are when no one's around, accompanying them through the world. All that shit is like, I think really important. And like, what, as a writer, you see it in that show, no matter how you present what you've written, they are getting at what is within you that you're leading them to, So I think there's a really cool thing in that is interestingly approached. And the other thing I like in Severance is like, they're all like adult children, which means that inner you is raw and moving with you, still being formed. And it's something we just don't have a luxury of,
Yeah. Yeah, just like the entire idea of like, I don't know, like you're never not learning, you're never not being molded by the world, and like I'm really interested in that notion of like the raw you at the center of everything before, like you said, before the world got to you. Like that's like, like very much like nature versus nurture, and like what's you and what's the world. Like it's like we're all products of the world in that way, and
Yep.
sometimes we wind up like Christopher Walken on Severance. You
Yep.
know.
Yep. Yeah. There's like as you move through the world, you like accumulate armors, identities, survival mechanisms that are not the real you, but supplement it. And some of the things you learn from that should go in and imprint and affect the inner you, but then parts of it are its opposite. So the inner you might survive and persist under circumstances it does not invite nor warrant, And a lot of us get that, whether you're on the street keeping a kind heart under a bubble goose, or you're in a corporate office keeping a sense of purpose and a wilder mind under a button up. Like they all compare, and it's like a little bit of everyone's story. Super powerful stuff.
For sure. And I mean, like, now that we're here, I wanna get more at the raw you.
Yeah, man.
I'm so happy you brought that up, because that really is the perfect way to put it. So like I wanna jump all the way back with you and go through some early experiences. So like what's the first movie experience you can remember having? It could be at the theater, it could be at your cousin's house. Like first thing that comes to mind for you.
My dad, so I had like the beginning of my childhood was fine, but then got super intense, and I was left with like an abusive mom, and I would see my dad on weekends. He lived in New York, I lived in New Jersey. And,
word. Where in Jersey?
So I was in Hoboken, North Bergen, Weehawken, and Jersey
Bro,
City.
I live in North Jersey. I'm in Clifton. That's fucking crazy.
Clifton? Okay, yeah. Yeah, it was like, I went to like Woodrow Wilson grade school and fucking 4 other schools. We had like divorce was doing its work, so I didn't go to one school for more than 2 years until my last few years of high school or college. Actually, college was the only place I went for 3 years. So a lot of moving, a lot of identity switching. I remember, stick with this movie shit. But basically, my dad was in New York, and he was a wonderful father. We went to Forbidden Planet, and he kept my creativity alive despite what was going on in the home, and then having like the streets as my only outlet, at the time. So, and he, I think it was the first day it came out, Terminator. I was a child, man. I should not have been a fucking Terminator. And my dad, yes, the first one. And my dad took me to a theater in Harlem. We were probably the only white boys in there. And I'll never forget the woman next to me. And right as the movie's starting, just offers me some of her banana. And then right after the scene where he drops down, Reese drops down in the Nikes into the changing room or whatever. That's that thing. Everybody goes crazy, and then all the lights come on in the theater, and these cops are like, "We know you're in here. Come to the back of the theater. We don't want any shit." And everyone's like, "Boo, this is New York at its finest." So everyone yelled at the screen. Wonderful place to see a film,
Of course.
And then all of a sudden, this dude with a briefcase gets up out of a seat and starts running around in the front of the theater. All the cops grab him and leave. Then they turn the lights back off. We continue watching Terminator. And it began a cycle of me and my dad seeing every Arnold movie the night it came out in New York, for his like heyday. Yeah, like the good stuff. Running Man, Predator, Total Recall.
Last Action Hero, I assume.
That actually was the taper, and I think we were out of it by then.
Okay.
But me and my dad actually got in a fucking caught in the middle of a shootout going to Total Recall. My pop, my pop, on Second and Second, which is where my dad lived in Manhattan when it was burnout. It was just artist lofts and debauchery. And we went to the theater, and fucking right as we're walking down the street, this dude in a flight suit, which was like the coolest thing you could have, a Jordan flight suit. Coolest thing you could wear on the street. So I'm like looking, and I'm like, this man has a flight suit. And he has a duffel bag, and he runs between me and my dad, kind of separating us a little bit. And I'm like watching him run. And as we turn around, a white 5.0 pulls up in front of us and hits the fucking wall. And then a dude gets out of the passenger side and starts shooting at the dude in the flight suit, who's now 150 feet behind me and my dad. So me and my dad half duck, and my dad grabs me, pulls me behind this car. The two dudes with dreads on motorcycles go doing 200 shooting at this dude. The 5.0 backs out, goes chasing after this dude. And my dad's like, all these people are like, you guys okay? And my dad's like, we're just going to the movie. We're just going to go see Total Recall. And he like picks me up and we start walking down the street. And then he's like, wait a minute. And he pulls his shirt down and a bullet hit the wall, ricocheted, and hit my father flat like a quarter. And his whole fucking shit was purple and pink and red and green. It's like full bruise. And then he looks at me and my fucking head's bleeding. And fucking pieces of the bullet hit the wall, hit me in the fucking head. If I had been walking a step ahead, that bullet would have tore through my face and it wouldn't have hit his shoulder.
Christ.
Yeah, man. And then I remember he was just like, just don't tell your mother. We wait. And the other thing was like, you know, I was raised on like, you know, I'm a child. So like I was shoplifting. I was trying to be bad, but I didn't really know world evil at that point. And the medics come, and my dad, we actually walked to get in line for the theater. And then he's like, what the fuck am I doing? I got hit by a bullet. So we walk back, which is just a block and a half away, to the ambulance. And we're like, hey, we were here. All this shit happened. So the guy tends my dad, and he's tending my head. And the cop comes up and is asking me what happened. And I wouldn't tell him because I thought people were going to come murder us like a movie.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like,
I was just sitting there. I was just like shaking my head, like, I don't know, I didn't see anything. And then, you know, the only thing I said was, he was in a flight suit. Anyway, okay. Yeah, man. So now, good times.
So, okay. I mean, like, I have a story I want to tell you, but before I do that, how was the movie?
It was good. Actually, we didn't go after that. We went the next weekend because he took me home, and we were just in shock, man. You know, this like
that's hilarious
whole ass fucking thing, and yeah, it was good times. But you know, New York was a wilder place. Jersey was a wilder place. But I think that could have been warm and fuzzier, but it actually gave me more than enough of what I needed to make it through my own trials and shit. You know, it's sort of
man.
I meet a lot of, it's weird. Do you wish someone to stay in their like pure unadulterated self, or do you wish them experiences that allow them to navigate a brutal world that has no quarter for that type of person? So it was like this. I met a lot of really cool open people, and I'm like, this world's gonna eat your face, you know, and experiences like this are, you know, in the name of just trying to see some sci-fi with my pop and think about things other than this world, we get into something that definitely made me like think about my own mortality and like, you know, greater scheme and flight suits. But
yeah, you know, like what more would you want from a great '80s Schwarzenegger movie? You know,
that's
like,
right.
That's kind of like the whole between Predator and Total Recall and Running Man. That's kind of the whole experience of all those movies. So
yeah, man, bad acting, great sci-fi. You know, I can't knock it. Yeah, and, yeah. There was like that was actually a good heyday. You know, we would always go to the theaters that didn't really card you. You could go see all the Van Damme movies and Steven Seagal. It was a great time for shitty acting and high action sci-fi nonsense.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I can never get enough of that stuff even today. But before we move on, you telling that story, I mean, this happened to me pretty like I was already grown by the time this happened. But I went to this spot called the Brooklyn Wing House that had just opened in Crown Heights. It might have been what year was it? Was I still working at? No, I wasn't still at College Humor. I can't remember. But either way, like I was working, and I went down to go to Crown Heights to go check out this black-owned chicken spot. So like I go over and I ordered. I go up to the register. I order I order a blue velvet waffle and some wings, and I'm like, great, this is gonna be delicious. And then as soon as I make the order, like I'm pulling my card out, I'm about to tappy tap, and everybody in the spot hits the deck. Everybody hits the floor. So I'm like I'm coming fresh from work. Like I got my backpack and my laptop on me and everything. I turn around, there's somebody with a gun right at the door. Son comes inside, and you know, like of course I hit the deck too. I'm thinking like, damn, like, am I really about to just like die in this chicken spot right now? Like my whole
Yep.
life flashes before my eyes. Like
Yep.
I got everything like in my bag. It's just like me, I'm not religious, but in this moment, it's like it's me and God. Like I'm like,
Right.
damn, like
Right.
it's really I'm out. It's over. And he walks in, and so like apparently somebody, like a person had like stolen something from him, and like or something. I don't know what the whole story is, but the person ran into the chicken spot before I came in there and was hiding in the kitchen. So
No.
this person came in looking for this other person. He comes in and pauses for a couple seconds. He lets off 3 shots, maybe about 5 feet from me, into the back of the kitchen, and then jumps over the counter and runs into the back of the kitchen. So obviously me and like the handful, it couldn't have been more than like 10 people in there. So we all look at each other and we all just say, we say no words. We all get up, leave out the door,
And get the fuck
leave
out. Yeah.
as
No.
soon
Yeah,
as he's
man.
gone,
Yup.
like, so like,
Yup.
so yeah, so like I'm cruising. I like run around the corner and shit, and like I called my family, I called my dad, I called my mom, I called my partner. I'm like, I was just in a shootout, everything's okay. I didn't get the food, I haven't been back since, but like
That'll ruin
but
a good chicken spot. But
I'm so mad because I want to go back too. Like
Yeah,
I've heard nothing but good things about this spot. It just
Yep.
didn't work out. But like it was like I didn't see a movie right after that, but I went to one of my favorite noodle spots in Manhattan because I was taking the train back to Jersey at the time. So I'm just like, damn, I almost died. Let me go get like, and like I'll never forget the box of food I got after that. It was egg noodles with coconut curry sauce, and I think chicken, back bacon,
Your last
bok
meal.
choy. It was like that shit is so sacred to me because
man.
of that night. Like
Yep.
that, because like I did that and just like went home and like watched some bullshit. I don't remember what it was, but like I remember being comforted by like a movie after all of that happened.
Yeah,
So
man.
like it was that was New York. New York is crazy for people not from our area who don't know. Like it's
Yeah.
like, and like Crown Heights is one of those areas that hasn't been fully gentrified yet. Like it gets bucked like a motherfucker down there. So like it's
Yeah, I think there's a real I don't know. It was actually like an accelerant for me, but it's incredibly daunting. I've had a few gun in my face experiences, and simultaneously they're like, yeah, all this like trying to live in and manifest your imagination. I don't know if that's going to keep you alive in this world. And then at the same point, it's like, this is this world I'm going to pull from my imagination, So there's like this duality of like a waking up, that real you, but also giving you this like hard lesson about how untenable having your head in the clouds is in a world like this. It's really, really interesting, And then there's that thing too where it's like the gun in the face is like, okay, I may have made all the choices in my life that got me to this moment, but now I'm like out of the equation. That person in that moment, it's like, all right, what are you going to include me in? Killing me, taking my wallet, shooting this dude in the kitchen of the chicken shack? Like, what the fuck is this? And it's like it's a thing. It makes you feel small as possible, but then at the same time, that is always the things that made me be like, all right, I'm going to go for what I believe in, because, near-death experiences are fucking dime a dozen. And they don't take your name, and they don't want to know about the lyrics you have half finished or the plans you have on the horizon or the next movie you're going to see.
Of course.
Yeah.
Nah, like in those moments, like like at that, like after that, every day is a gift, Like,
Yeah.
You don't think about life different after stuff like that.
No, and then the other thing too that I don't think people get unless they grew up in dangerous or slightly dangerous neighborhoods is like when you get jacked, when you are in the middle of something that involves guns or violence, like they're at work You know what I'm saying? Like this
Yeah,
is,
they're on the clock.
thieves are fucking working, man. You're on their shift. You shouldn't be there. You have nothing to contribute except what you have on you, that they might want. And it's just like this
Hmm.
thing where you gotta sort of accept, I mean, rap is full of lines about how real shit is, but that's that thing, is like you gotta live in both worlds, one foot in, one foot out.
Yeah. And as you get older and you start to not only refine and really define your taste, but get more reality checks, for
Yeah.
lack of a better word. Like, do you remember, man, this, like, after this conversation, this feels so minuscule, but do you like, I like to think of this as like a capital M movie, like the thing that really stopped you in your tracks and connected with you in like a spiritual or artistic or emotional way, like just like the capital M movie, like this is a film type shit.
Oh man. You know, Definitely way later in life because I went through the hip hop gauntlet where all we watched was Scarface, Five Deadly Venoms, fucking
Classics.
yeah, Kung Fu Court Master, all these, all the ones that formed us, and we weren't allowed to watch other films. Like it was a thing, saying I could only listen to rap, I could only eat rap movies. And then when I got out of college and went to California, we had this great fucking video store in Berkeley. And that's where I got into everything that would become incredibly formative for me. So that's, the majority of David Lynch's works.
My fault. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to shout out the Real Notes Patreon one time. For as little as $5 a month, you get exclusive goodies like video of every interview, 2-day early access to every interview, an invite to the Real Notes Discord server, exclusive access to the Real Talk Movie Night archive, and early pre-sale links for all live events. If you want to give a little more, you get other exclusives like retro 60-second movie reviews and monthly 90-minute workshops with me, where we can discuss whatever creative questions or projects you might have going on. Head over to patreon.com/realnotes. That's REELNOTES to join right now. I repeat, all videos will only be available on the Patreon. Thanks for listening. Shout out to my patrons. Now let's get back to talking.
The Maceless brothers, who did Grey Gardens, is what they're most famous for. But what is it? Rabbit, Tiger, Bear, their Bible salesman documentary. Everything those guys did was incredibly formative. And Werner Herzog,
The GOAT, yeah.
the fucking GOAT. My Best Fiend was incredibly formative for me because I was dealing with all these. It's interesting, like a lot of potential and kindness in the people that I chose to start making music with, but everybody was some form of broken. So I was watching My Best Fiend, and I just remember being like, look at these two men that have such a relationship with art and manifesting something out of nothing that they allow each other to like find the breaking point, and they channel how much either of them sucks because those together they come up with parameters that define outstanding art and unique art. But alone, that's why Werner didn't just recast and get somebody that wasn't Kinski. You know what I mean? It was this sort of like there's a potential in each other as artists to do great things, but it involves your darkness, and your worst, being able to like be in touch with that. Usually it's pretty heavily traumatized people, but there's a thing about being able to channel that into this world and capture it and know how to capture it so that it's unadulterated, so that other people might actually be exposed to something more than the parts that are required to make a finished thing. So
Yeah.
script. No one watches. First of all, it's a doc, but you don't really watch great cinema and be aware that the script and the character development and the lighting and the plot are all in a perfect sync or not, or asynchronous, So to really, especially with cinema and with song, to like be taken to a world and deliver it all and then take a deep breath at the end and be like, damn, that writing was fucking smoking. That acting was fucking smoking. That the cinematography, So so I guess I just sort of resigned myself to picking My Best Fiend, but it was incredibly significant. And then Twin Peaks is the other one. That was like that white horse in the living room. I was like, huh, how do I give you a white horse in the living room as a rap creator? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, because there's that, man, there's a perfection to new ideas where old ideas hold court. And there's something in Twin Peaks that goes far and beyond that, where you're expecting tacky 80s drama in a living room and you get this inexplicable white horse that scares the shit out of you. This beautiful mare. You know what I mean? So it's like the right thing in the wrong place, and new ideas where the cliche holds so much sway is this thing that I really learned from, all those. And also, I guess the thing that I was making songs, but I wanted to work in the form of album as art. And that was given to me by cinema, because most things you experience aren't that whole, allowing for layers, allowing for a rewatch and a reinterpret things you missed, things you had a feeling about. Like that was it was really a gateway drug for me to make sure an album had something for you ahead of your interacting with it, and for you many, many listens later. So that really bit that from cinema. I didn't bite that from Gangstar Records. There's other shit I bit from that, but it most certainly was not, taking you to a world and then making something time-proof by exacting and maximizing the potential of all the layers that are in any creative work.
Yeah, I mean, like, who better to exemplify that than Lynch and Werner Herzog?
Yeah,
like,
man.
It's like, it's crazy because I've never seen My Best Fiend, but like, but
you have homework this weekend. It's so good.
I'm on it. Like, I already put it on my. I put it on my
good.
I'm ready. But like I say that saying like A Guerrero Wrath of God is one of my favorite Werner Herzog movies ever. Shit is incredible. Like that. Like I think if I had to pick my 3 favorite Herzog joints, it would be that. I love Grizzly Man a lot. That movie really emotionally impacted me. Like, anybody who hasn't seen Grizzly Man, I forget the man's name, but it's about this guy who went out into the woods to go, like, he thought he could commune with grizzly bears, and he would like hang out in the woods with them and bring his like girlfriends and like he was like making a documentary about bears. And the movie ends with tape footage. You don't see the video, but you hear the audio of him getting mauled by a fucking bear.
Yeah.
Like his partner gave Werner Herzog approval to play it, so like it's just like you just hear this guy get mauled by a fucking bear, like completely unedited. It's the story is great, but like that, like I walked away from that like I don't know that I've ever been so like chilled by a moment in a movie in my life than just like this man just like
Werner finds that thing that well, first of all, you can always tell he finds something it could be this movie about the only Holocaust survivor, but Werner is not there for tales of the Holocaust. Werner is there for something else that he sees under the veil, under this person, under all humanity.
Yeah.
And he brings you toward that. And I feel like with Grizzly Man, it was this like, sure, there's aspects of the human mind and heart that can like make you be one with the bear and understand these the complexity of being in nature around a bear. But ultimately, your fucking flesh and the bear chooses to consign to you being devourable, and all of that meaning and purpose and hippie fucking Shangri-La one with nature shit is like, you're so one with nature, you're fucking supper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, get it right. Yeah, get the whole memo, bro. Get the whole memo.
Real.
Your English will not get you out of this. It's no different than being at gunpoint. Your wide world got you into something incredibly simple that requires nothing more from you than what it wants out of you, that pound of flesh. You know what I mean? So it's really, and that dude chose that. That's what's heavy about the Grizzly Man. Is like, this was their like legacy. Being educated dinner.
Yeah, like that. He like that's. I mean, like he wanted to. He thought he had something that like ultimately no one has, other than just like your food. And like and like Werner Herzog says that a bunch of times in the movie. Like he notes like, yeah, this man is like, he's food. Like there was a bit. I forget it, but either way, like, so like Aguirre, Wrath of God, Grizzly Man, and his Bad Lieutenant movie with Nick Cage.
Oh, okay.
Something I also really love a lot. Those three movies were all like the ones that connected with me the most in his catalog. And I mean, like, Lynch is like, I don't know if I've said it on here, but please, like, rest in peace to fucking David Lynch, man.
Yeah,
like
man.
That shit fucked me up bad. Twin Peaks is like I haven't watched it in at least a decade. So like now is a good time to like go back and rewatch it. But like I'm gonna be so basic and say that like the dream with the flaming playing card is like still to this day one of the coolest things I've ever seen in any sort of TV show, movie, whatever. Like that, like just like that dream sequence is like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
like
Bob at the foot of the bed. There's like a bunch for something like, that old and that was on television, a god awful fucking medium that it is. Like to have that many burners that permanently imprint on your memory within that. And then I think the other thing that those two have in common is, which is something I aspire to be, and I don't have a lot of examples for what it would be in greater terms, but on my terms, definitely no examples, is like a career artist. David left this world potent and kept from releasing that potency. Over potent these men are. Werner is still out there just fucking destroying it. Like, you do not have to be a shadow of your former self. That's a you problem as a creative. You get yourself to, some artists start doing it at 25. They're sucking in your face and sounding like themselves. Some artists fall into that at 35, 45. I don't think the numbers matter. But it's this thing about working with your shadow, not fucking falling into it and playing the game for the sake of being seen. It's about, with those guys, they made these fucking incredible works of art that were pivotal for most or all artists, and it wasn't enough. That's the way you need to feel. That's the way everything has like a postpartum depression that comes with it, even the worst works and the best works. But those men chose to toil in what's next. And every time, it's just crazy to think of works that are so definitive for me. And for them, they were more like just the guardrails for the next thing they manifest. Yeah. Like, it's a way to, it's like definitely the hard road of like putting yourself up against something, against everything inspiring. It's an easy way to be daunted and be like, I'll never be good at anything. But it is also exactly the metal of you being better. And it's on each artist to receive those opportunities for lesson and improve without being derivative or, yeah, it's really the name of the game. And those guys, when I watch those films and I see how young they are in them, oh man, I guess that's the important thing is everyone needs a couple artists they love that make them feel like a slouch.
Yeah.
You can go harder. You can go a lot harder. And some people really, there's a thing, most artists are like, this guy can paint so good. I'll never be like that. I appreciate that. I want to work with that. They paint as well as I, poem, whatever. Let's put these together. And then there's artists like Herzog and Lynch where they just are fucking vessel, man. That's what they do better than everyone. They also do all the fucking details that one artist is allowed to contribute to a finished work. David Lynch did all the sound design on the Twin Peaks: The Return. And I was like, really, motherfucker, you swing the bat that hard? Not only do you come back to your greatest work and take poetic license with your poetic license from 20 years ago, but you also do all the fucking sound design? Suck my dick, everybody. Like, everybody has to get on the treadmill of, like, going harder. And it's not, it's not about that being taking more control. It's about, like, allowing yourself later, allowing yourself always to grow your potency in other directions that aren't just what you're gifted at or spent your 10,000 hours in. You know what I'm saying? It's like, outside of cinema, within cinema, that's what I like to see. And someone who, I guess that's the big thing you want to do is, like, give someone a great experience, but print on them, within them, that there's more where that's coming from that artist. You know what I mean? Even if it's all not a sequel to what you just enjoyed. That, like, getting the whiff of someone's vast potential through a single work,
And who did that for you in rap music? Like, when, what's, what, when did, or actually, yeah. Let's go with that. When did rap become capital M music for you?
Yeah. Sadly, early, because, like, when I was a kid, my mom wasn't around much, and I only got exposed to rap through people. I was the only child through someone with older brothers. So my boy Fateen's fucking older brother, who was in and out of juvie, showed us all the rap, and I didn't know. I was a child. I didn't know where the motherfucker was getting it. I was like, do you get this in juvenile hall? Is that where you get Chub Rock? I don't know. Where does this shit come from? And so being exposed to that shit early, I was like, and also on MTV, they're pushing rap on us, but also it's like Def Leppard and Guns N' Roses and who's
Twisted Sister and shit.
Yeah, who's the asshole who made all the women look homogenous? Who's anyway, it'll come to me. But, like, there's, like, they would always have slick back hair and shades. It was like this. There was so much shit where you're like, it was actually the era of image in music.
Absolutely.
And so I got very much all that shit. I was being inundated with, like, you could like all this garbage. And I heard rap and I was like, yo, I want to be lectured. Like, I want this fucking constant word thing, which is, I didn't know because I was only reading shit I hated, like bad books in public school. They're giving you, this is before they forced us to read Shakespeare, but a bunch, I hated words, and rap, I was like, I fucking love words. So started with all the people I fell in love with, which is Gangstar, De La Soul, EPMD. Those were, like, my first groups where I bought every record, like a fan of how it was being delivered, but I was always consuming all the rap. one song at a time. Didn't have money then, was a child, but once I started getting like my little weed money that I would sell fucking nicks at school, and I got a dishwashing job, then I was like, all right, I'm buying starter hats and rap records, you know, and
Word.
I'm getting everything. I don't care if my boys clown me. There were some rap records that I couldn't show everyone, like Freestyle Fellowship, you know, people would let you like Cypress Hill because it was in the zeitgeist, you know, it was poking through into success parameters. But yeah, so I started collecting, and then for me, really, the big moments were listening to really finally appreciating Freestyle Fellowship and Saphir. You know,
Yep, I was gonna bring up Saphir. Yeah.
everything a little out of sync, you know, but I was always being collaged as an appreciator of music, you know. So again, I was allowed to memorize and love and proud to get deep into The Sun Rises in the East or Illmatic, you know, but this weirder shit that was pushing the boundaries of rap, there was like a price you paid socially for trying to get people to listen to that. So what I found in it, I found for myself, you know. So first time I heard Fellowship, I remember being like, all these guys sound the same. That was not what was happening. They all sounded so fucking different. I was saming them. You know, I was like, sounds like one guy. I can't make out who's who, you know, but it was actually that it was such a varied bouquet of all the things you can do on a mic that I couldn't pick it apart, you know. And then I heard Saphir on Body Hats, which was how he first came out to everybody, the third Digital Underground album. And I hated Tupac, man. Right away, I was like, this is a saltine. This is like a cracker I don't want to fucking eat. You know, it's like other people are doing this, you know. But then, and everyone loves that Digital Underground found Tupac, but what they really found was fucking Saphir. You know, that man, it was, you know, Body Hats and Sweater. The way he was approaching everything, I literally was like, one of these kids is doing his own thing. Like, this man is not averse to him, rhyming, cadence, content, all unique in how he was pursuing it. And then it was done not with a, I'm trying something new here. Let's be gentle with me way. It was a get the fuck out of me, get the fuck out of my way while I do it completely differently. And that kind of confidence balanced with that kind of potential is fucking 1 in 100 million. I've met so many rappers. I don't understand what fucking test tube is rude. What alternate dimension that motherfucker was born in and then fed into our world. I really don't. I know it's Oakland. I know that alternate dimension is Oakland
Right.
and being exposed to the right things at the right time.
That's the
But
portal
really,
for sure. Yeah.
you know, that shit just broke me open. And then it actually, I was sort of done after those experiences with griots, boxcar sessions. Because at the same time, you know, you're listening to the second Alcoholics, which pushed some boundaries and was interesting. The fake freestyle at the beginning of the second record with Loot Pack and the licks. You're like, this shit's so hip hop. But then you would listen to this other shit and be like, I was never embarrassed again to try things that were new. I unabashedly became devoted to where Company Flow and Latyrix were taking things, because unlike everyone around me, Saphir was my new hallowed ground. Fellowship was my new baseline. You know what I'm saying? My baseline was no longer what was accepted. And, you know, and I see to this day, like, rap's breakthroughs never really come with its most successful endeavors or songs or artists. But nonetheless, that is the overground, and the roots drip a finer water down to the grubs and like night crawlers that are the true spine and matter of rap being something significant and changing over time. So feeds us, but it flies in the face of what is really rap all along. And the underground ethos of reinvention, being creative instead of violent, being timeless instead of counted out, and of a single moment or minority or neighborhood. That's like how rap started, you know? And there's a connection between, I think people look at rap now and they're like, I don't think they care, but they're like, this doesn't connect to the origins of rap at all. You know, it's become commodified. It's a capitalist adventure now on the high end. But the underground, Backwoods, all the other artists that are like pushing the boundary of the pen, of the composition, of the song, of the full length album, that connects exactly to the origins of this new kind of music that a fucking black and brown kids invented in New York in the 70s. You know, it's the most American thing. You know, the blues is rife with thievery and Elvising and someone dying very successful and literally just taking it from a less successful version. And then rap is fucking completely new and thriving in the hands of, the people that created it generations later. But you still see that just when I look at rap as a whole, someone might want to argue with me about if Tupac's good. And I'm like, we are not reading the same books, man. We are not following the same timeline. You're fucking, it's like, basically, I always feel like, you know how we're not allowed to accept that humanity is like 50,000 years older than the Bible allows us to say it is. Right. That's how I feel about the success of the most successful rap artists. They are just the most popular, but they did not, there is a potency to understand and see the potential in the lifespan of rap and what it can really do that does not involve any of its most successful examples, you know?
Yeah, I mean, as damn near a lifelong advocate of everything happening in the underground, I have to. It's as you get older, it gets kind of nefarious seeing just how people, just to see how sauce gets transferred between the different levels of this shit. Like, there's plenty of people in the upper rungs that I love and have a lot of respect for, but more often than not, like the stuff that. Like I can only think of a handful of artists who are at that level who I think are still kind of pushing boundaries in a way that's like not just specifically for like a corporate interest, if that makes sense. Like Tyler the Creator is somebody that I'd put in that field because like his stuff still feels very like it feels like he's pushing back against something still and that he hasn't been fully subsumed by the industry or whatever. It's in an interesting spot where like you could tell that the influences are starting to come in as like the operations expanding, but like there aren't many others who I would put in that field. I could probably think of others, but
in
like,
a popular tier. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Kendrick, it's self-evident.
Yeah,
it's self-evident. Kendrick is, let's see. The individual is lucky to have a relationship to creativity that is like, exceptional and ever flowing. And then the populace is lucky every once in a while when popularity actually selects someone who has that deeper relationship, who is a unique, amazing artist, and like we get a few of those. They're in all the genres, and they blow up, and you're like, well, everyone except them, because they are setting a benchmark. And then that's why you see things like that big three stuff. It's basically like if the big three is David Lynch, M. Night Shyamalan, and fucking Tyler Perry, you're tripping. You have a big one and you don't watch enough other shit. You know what I mean? It's like, so like, let's, and I think there's this like, I get it. I get what people like about what they like, but it's just a matter of time, and I guess they're unlucky. They need better motherfuckers around them. To
Yeah.
show them, and also I guess taking recommendations is like the surface of the water above taking influence. And for people who aren't necessarily an artist or don't have the an opportunity to create, there's still people that take deep influence, works of cinema that are vast, and can print upon you, works of music that have the same properties. They alter your depth. They alter your ability to think out of the box, and they become as potent as life experiences. It's like a synthesized life experience for those. When you really capture and channel and put something in the art, you are literally giving people a closeness to something they might never actually physically approach. And, that's that shit. And, I think you get that from other art, and then other stuff. The Shyamalan example is just like a cinematic gotcha gag, or whatever. Like there's shades of impact. There's shades of depth and meaning. And they all exist at once. And don't get me wrong, I love Lynch, I love Herzog, and I love every fucking horrible Arnold movie. I'm allowed to have a high shelf and a low shelf.
Yeah, duality is great,
Yeah, and something that I spent a significant amount of my interest and time exploring.
Yeah, same. I'm the exact same way, and like, before we move on to the slightly newer stuff, when did you? I mean, like, you take all of this into consideration. You're kind of watching this vanguard shift, and you have this you have this experience with Freestyle Fellowship that kind of changes you, not just as well. I mean, like, you're not really like creating for real at this point, but like but like, as a listener, it like there's a shift in you as a listener. So like, as you get older. When did you know that rap was going to become more than just a hobby for you and something that you wanted to actively pursue?
When I started doing it. So like when I had this, like when I was talking about this on another podcast, and the person I was talking about this to was like, I don't know about that, man. But like, at least for me, when I started memorizing rap and like committing it, printing it onto my DNA, when I did Be Real, I did Be Real's voice. When I did the Guru, I did fucking Guru's voice. I didn't just memorize it and be like, just to get a rep. Like, I heard their tones. The art of rapping and inflection was imprinting on me at the same time as lyrics and their significance were, and where was I going with this? What was the initial question again?
When did you know it would become more than just
a
hobby for you? Yeah.
So, like, as I start listening to rap and consuming it and memorizing it, I'm like a great mimic, and I'm doing it with everyone I have. And then one weekend at the Jersey Shore, after my friend's dad was like OG, and we were about to get in a huge fight. These dudes were going to jump us in front of, as we came back from the boardwalk, and his dad just came out with his fucking Glock and was like, nobody's fighting anybody out here. And we were like, thanks, Pop. We just fucking, we go out, and that night, man, feeling like my mortality, for lack of a better term, I started freestyling, and I was bad, mind you. I was fucking trash, like everybody when they start. And that was it. I constantly freestyled. I constantly rapped. And then I started to get good. And where I used to fist fight and just be violent, I started doing this. And it didn't all occur at once. There was never a point where I was like, well, I could really graduate my relationship to violence and creativity by battling over, just pushing motherfuckers, so, but it happened. And that's, oddly enough, what was happening with breakdancing in the 70s and the gangs in New York. And it was like this way to be in the streets, still socially acceptable, but change my relationship to all of it. to
Right.
be a creator, but still be fucking lyrically violent. You know what I mean? To find my
Yeah.
space. And I'll tell you what, man, I'm a medium dude build. Like, there was no future where I was the head honcho physically. No matter how I would have to get in so much trouble, I would be incarcerated before I could see a world where it changed my opportunities in
Yeah.
Jersey or Philly, But the second I started rapping, it was different, man. I was starting to get preserved and asked. Like, I used to be like the crazy kid in the crew, and they'd be like, you go punch him first, and then we'll follow you in. And that, and now it was
Right.
like, just rap, man. Just you go first, you rap. And it actually was, it was a change I wanted in my life that I could not ask for, and I most certainly wouldn't receive. So once I got into battling and freestyling, that was it. I knew it was me. And then again, another gun story. There was right when all that was going down, I was smoking a lot of dust, and we were going to
Yeah.
get more dust, 2 for $5 in North Philly, and we got carjacked, and we had a pocket runner in the back seat. Had a gun in my face, and cops fucking drove by, and everybody thought it was for us getting jacked, but it was just cops driving by, and everything dissipated, and we got to like jet. And that night, I'll never forget, I was like, I am not just, my tender offers more than just to be exchanged for violence on the table of the circumstances that are around me right now. I didn't really know what to do with that, but I was like, I have potential. I probably was saying it more in my head, like, I got motherfucking potential, yo. And I knew, and honestly, I didn't know before that, because I was choosing all kinds of wild shit to maybe be extinguished by, maybe walk out of the fire, a little stronger on the other side. So, but rap and doing it myself, it was when I knew, and then it was several years before it became like a mine to find myself in. You know, Rap has a lot of unwritten rules and room to get good at, and so like for me with fellowship, all that stuff, I didn't rap fast until I could. You know, and that meant rapping well slow. Which was, East Coast to West Coast, and all that stuff. You learn, you have respect for the shit that comes before you. You take it with you. You discard what you don't like. I think that's something about rap that I see go to its detriment and to its benefit is like, you should not do something because you've tried it, not because you can't. So I see a lot of people being like, I don't get poetic, I don't fast rap, I don't whatever it is, and is it because you can't or because you tried it and it's not a part of what you manifest? There's the two paths are right next to each other with no separation. So yeah, so that was it, man. And then I was fucking hooked. I was like a rap centrist for many years until like my late 20s when I worked at Amoeba. I didn't even listen to other music. I hated it almost. Everything was just like white angst, which I'm a white boy, but I hated that shit. I hated hearing it. I don't know. I felt like rock was dead since I was 13. I don't know what the fuck. You know what I mean? I just saw the new form, and I was like, this is it. This is what I want to contribute my life to. I carved out a space in it. And then once I found that I was like a natural for rap in all the ways you can be, then I was like, all right, I'm going to make this exactly mine. And then that was a difficult time for me, like being accepted by my peers, but also being like, I am never doing anything anyone's doing again,
Right.
without knowing I am. You know what I'm saying? Like the mold, the traditions of rap. While I was forged by them, I saw no need to posture and brandish those traditions in my future. They were a part of my blueprint. They come with me everywhere.
Yeah.
To abandon them is still to hold them dear. I think there's like misperceptions with people that saw what I did or Anticon did, and like, you know, I'm sort of like I'm an easy target for like that's a white boy doing it the white way. Most certainly not the case. You know what I'm saying? So I think and that's really though the things that I was concerned with are there for every rapper who is a natural and wants to progress past the point of their influences into what you really are as a singular voice and a singular aspect. You ever go into like you ever see like a whole bunch of beautiful flowers? They just start to look like beautiful bullshit. There's no individuality. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
There's
all
like
just like a mass of colors. Yeah.
yeah, it is gorgeous. I love it. Smells great, but I need for me, I would rather every single one be different. And that's the rap I collect. That's the peers that I try to find. That I
Right.
hold dear. So yeah, not different to cinema. I think rap is there's a high art to rap, and it's not this highfalutin. You don't need to take away anything from rap's origins in order to reinvent it. There's great stuff there,
Yeah.
but there's also because rap has a lot of posturing, and albeit it's a new art form where you sample and steal and appropriate all these things you want, has a lot of constraints, and there's a lot to be done differently. And I think this is a time where you see, at least in the underground, but in people like Kendrick and Tyler, you actually see rap reaching its potential, which is infinite.
Yeah.
Rap can literally sample all the genres ever and still be fucking rap. And then when you try to do rock and add a turntable, it becomes this loathsome new metal, disgusting, atrocious, appropriative dog shit. So like, what is it about, why can rap take freely and cobble together something new and fantastic and still in its vein, but I see other people do it and it's like, like throwing up in my coffee.
I think you're right. All that considered, I was a big Korn fan growing up.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I loved Korn coming up, but you're right. You're so right.
What is that? It's this thing that just happens. It's like
yeah.
And I remember, like Mike Patton is a close friend of mine, and I came to know him really well. We did an amazing record together. But I remember being a little kid when I was in this formative year, and like what's this? This is it, and like that white boy rap style that he kind of pioneered, and Kiedis made it. Anthony Kiedis is like a bane and a curse, a pox upon men. He took something that Patton was trying, because Patton was doing many vocal styles, and Kiedis made it like guaranteed you're going to hell, one of the lowest levels of hell if you rap like that, But I remember seeing that as a kid and just being like, I don't know about this. This doesn't feel good, And there's this thing about I could get myself in the weeds talking about the other genres failing an ability to incorporate all the things. But the point of this, which I haven't really thought of before, is that why is it that rap can do that and own it? And that's the cool thing. I feel like rap actually takes all input,
I actually haven't. I think I have an answer for that because I've been thinking about that a lot myself. Like you were talking earlier about just like how, like other genres. Like most American genres of music were started by Black people.
Yes.
And were appropriated.
All?
And
maybe all? I think it's all. I don't want to say all. Yeah.
Like basic. Let's say all.
Let's do it. Yeah.
But you look at, because like you were talking about like rap being like an American original, and to me I'll never forget watching the fuck Michael Rappaport. His Tribe documentary is amazing. The movie's incredible. So there's a bit in the movie where I think it's Q-Tip, he calls rap the last American original. And to this day, I still like that's the last. It's
I wish it weren't the last.
Yeah, me too.
You know, one of the things that I hope for as like someone who heard music like way later, records like This Heat. Have you ever heard This Heat? Three white boys making fucking rock.
Somehow I have. Yeah.
And so like I've always, something people say to me like, this is before its time, and I'm like, hey, let's unpack that. Most things are before their reception. Very few things are before their time. Because how the fuck did it get here? Micah 9 is not a time traveler. Micah was taking, you know, Lambert, Hendrix, and Ross and Eazy-E and meeting them in the middle, where he happened to be like an infinite well of doing something brand new, you know? And I think there's this like, there's a thing, man, where I do think, though, I pine for the next new music, and I don't care if it's two fucking Russian teenagers who invent it. I don't care where the fuck they are. I want a new music. I want to see something really new, not dubstep, like not more electronic production. I'm not trying to hate on dubstep. There's
of course,
it's you know, but that is
I know what you mean. Yeah,
versioning as opposed to authoring something completely original and new. And then rap has this thing where it was made, dude, the scrappiness and reinvention aspect of rap is, I think, what gave it 50 years and counting.
Yeah.
You know?
And the thing I was going to say is that, like, considering all these other genres that started out very black and were kind of diluted, like there's obviously for lack of a better word, interlopers who people kind of like somebody like somebody like Jack Harlow, for example, or like Eminem, even, like that's a whole other conversation. But what I'm trying to say is, like, rap still has black figures in it. Black people are still, well, like, not to say that black people aren't invested in other genres of music, because of course we are, but like, but you know, like, rap is still very, there are still so many figures and icons within rap culture who are black. Black people haven't been pushed out of rap. No matter how hard you try, like, you can't, like, that's one where, like, I don't know that we're ever going to get to a point where, like, rap is not black people doing it ever. You know, like, to the point where, like, I don't imagine in 20 years we're going to get to the point where, like, a young black kid who didn't grow up on the stuff we grew up on was like, oh, like, why, who are all these white people rapping? Rap is white people. You know, like, we're not at that point, and I don't think we're going to get to that point ever, because like, it's been 50 years and it's still not there. Like, we're still kind of like, it speaks to so much of our experience, and, like, as layered and complicated as the black experience is, like, more than, in my opinion, any other genre of music.
Yeah. So, and I think, black culture saw it born, and are still with it and its potency. And I actually think it's a gift. It's a gift to everyone, but it will always be black and brown. Growing up in the neighborhoods I did, you know, like, even to this day, I'm not trying to be on your white rapper list. Taking nothing from the eternal wellspring that is all black art and black origin, you know. I want to contribute to the art, and I care very much who crafted it and forged it, but I don't care what I look when I contribute to what it is over time, you know, bigger than all of us. Grateful that it's a form that I could find myself in, but never for a second do I try to, like, take it and make it mine or safe for other whites. It's like, also, I think, there's this thing about, like, I don't want to pass. I want to contribute. That's my quest. That is my quest. I cannot, you know, if I removed all my flesh and walked around as a man who was all bright red muscle and sinew, I would still have the same struggle I have as a white boy, you know. But that's the thing, is, like, you, you do a thing right, and I think that's where like the Eminems and the other guys really get uncomfortable for me is like you could be a white boy and wear a do-rag, but I don't want to listen to your songs and kind of wonder if you're wearing a do-rag when you did these vocals. There's like a there is like a yeah, but also, I'm not on earth to empathize, sympathize, or fix problems other white rappers have. I am on earth to define my contribution to rap. And maybe, I don't know. That's like, I think that's the other thing too, is like, I'm not sure, but I'm sure, like, when you see like the first basketball and it's all these white boys playing this like really robotic form of basketball, like forms are there for all individuals to find themselves in. So, that said, generally I'm like cringe first, listen second when it comes to white boys rapping.
I feel it.
I gotta, I'm just I'm waiting for the trying too hard. But that was something else too that I remember people like imparting that lesson to me before I rapped, just in the streets, was like, hey man, there's this thing called trying too hard. You must be certain you're never doing this, because it actually is the wrong path into a thing. If you could find yourself in it, and make that blossom and develop into yourself within a form, and the form's context being reboiled and re-envisioned because of how you're titrating it and allowing it to exist within you, that's a thing. But again, though, it's like there's this weird thing where how do you, as a white boy in rap, constantly trying to define myself with a taste of the odds that black culture is up against in this world. I just have them in the context of my chosen creative form. And you just got to respect where it comes from, and that, you're being, there's a line that I'm not the first white boy to do it, but like, you're a guest in the house. But you spend enough time there, when what does guest become? What is the future of being a guest? And it's being a contributor. But in order to do that, it's just something to do carefully, and not in a maudlin manner. You know what I'm saying? And most certainly, if you're going to do that, it should be done on an individual basis. So, it's interesting. And in my time, man, if I meet, and it's still this way, is like, white boy in this world, white boy in a black art form, I am always, if I meet someone, and they want to tell me, they're a young black male and they want to tell me Tupac is the best and I can't tell them anything, I have to approach accordingly and with caution and be like, all right, I don't want to take the truth this person is saying to me, which is like, yes, white boys vote second, but not Tupac. Where do we have those conversations?
Oh my God, man.
But it's a thing, man. It's like, I don't think it's, for me, it's just something I had to like, have in my tank and, do better because of it, but not to change the world's relationship to like white boys and rap. That is not what I'm fucking doing. And it's not,
it's a losing battle, like it's just one of those things that just is, and you just gotta,
it's not the
yourself.
Point. A gorgeous thing that black culture manifests.
Absolutely.
And like vaults to the heavens. The point is not like, but what about the couple white boys we don't have to argue about? No, it's like, I'm in your music collection or I'm not. That's, that's that, so it's like, but yeah, it's a thing that, it's weird to talk about, But it's like uncomfortable. The discourse is not clear enough. And then there's some people where they don't want to have this discourse at all because it's a black art form, and that's fine too. It's yeah. Truth is nuanced, and most white boys do no justice to the greater form.
Absolutely,
or the timelessness. Yeah.
You're right. But like, I wanna, like, there's so much other stuff we could talk about and so many other things I could ask you about, but I do want to talk about you and Dove's album because
yes, please.
This is just like this has just been like I said, since it like I was put onto it a little early through some channels that I won't reveal, but
yes.
it just made me happy to see that, like, considering everything you'd been through over the last like 20-25 years, and just like how, like, once again reading Blake's piece and just like seeing how the cards fell, and the fact that you were ready to come back and do it through, like like kind of act as a small part of like what Woods and Anton built, and just like being like, hey, I'm here and I'm gonna do this project with Dove, and like kind of like you had already been making music again by this point, but this felt like this is definitely like at least like a third or fourth coming for you.
Yeah, a little bit,
Like,
yeah.
So like, talk to me about why now was the time to make this project, how you got connected with Dove, how you got connected with Backwoods, and why now was the time for All Portrait No Chorus.
Man, I'll be okay. So my arc was like my dreaming and trying to manifest this thing that didn't exist in my life, which was music for a living, creative rap, me doing rap, all those things took me to a point where the dreaming resulted in some really difficult shit. And I was sort of like stripped of everything it gave me, and I had to build that back up. So I was doing that through the people that are closest to me, and then also knowing that, like I was saying about trying too hard, that's just every creative's relationship, and that's where you start getting into being a shadow of your former self, Like, it must be natural. What is natural for you? If you're 42 and have 9 children, and the only thing that gives you feelings anymore is how due the rent is, fine. That's what you should face. You know what I mean? But for me, I have an unending relationship to expressing myself. It is therapeutic for me. It is not therapy, but it is most certainly my purpose, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not accessing my purpose, and it burns, and I start getting back into it. And as I do that, Zach at Hands Made, people were feeding me music as I strayed from the light, of making things. And man, I just started to hear fucking all the Woods and Hammer shit. And I was like, no fucking way people are really liking this immaculately written rap. I was like, no fucking way everyone's talking about Arm & Hammer and it's fucking delivering on these levels for me as an artist. And I guess that was occurring to me even before I was fully immersed or had favorite songs or was listening through everything. And then I started listening, and I'll be damned, there is something about writing that makes me want to write more than rapping. Good rapping most certainly makes me want to hit the gym of rap. But writing, man, that's my people, like great writers. And so hearing them and seeing its success, and then I listened to Woods, Elucid, almost everything, pretty much everything on Backwoods. And I got to turn it off because it's making me want to write. It is close to the Sun level penmanship. And everyone exacts that out there's no conforming as everyone exceptionally writes. They all sound unique. everyone's growing. Everyone completely has mastered the fundamentals, and everyone is like finding a version of what they think rap songs can be. And I was like, it's my people. I don't know any of them, but I'll be damned if these are not, if we're not doing the same thing differently, you know. And so hearing that, taking it in, and then the best thing about meeting Dove is for me too, I receded from the world because I needed to heal. I couldn't take another punch, you know. So as I did that, the way that I found music, tape trading days, I reached out. I didn't really I wasn't on the cover of the Sources next. There was no like versioning. Someone had a glass case in which they could see me and pick me and choose me and give me more fortune, you know. So it was always through friendship and reaching out. And some rappers were dicks and some rappers were not. And in there I formed lifelong relationships, or the absence thereof, you know. So I was loving fucking Decay, and everything Sharif has done, and just
shout out to Sharif, bro.
That boy Sharif.
That's my heart right there.
And
shout out to Sharif, always.
Dude, and the other thing too is like for him to be so genuinely experimental, which is something I completely connect with, and was like, yo, different kind of brother and pen, you know, and song. And then I reached out to him, and to have him like rap like the dark energy behind all horror movies and then be a completely kind human being, I was like, what the fuck has changed about the people who are making rap on a formative level right now? You know, because being welcomed instantly and connected with, that is something that you were in a desert of that in how I began in rap in like 96, 7, 8, 9. You know, everyone was defensive. There was more of a get off my land energy than there was like, hey, come on inside, you know. And Sharif fucking with no prior interaction was immediately like that with me. And I was like, man, I love Dove too. And he was like, you should holler at him. He's a great dude. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna take that on face value. And I reached out to Dove. And like moments later, I was like, I love what you do, man. Hopefully we could do something together one day. And then Dove just wrote back like, BPAC question mark? And I was like, BPAC exclamation point, you know? So he sent that shit to me. He sent me 2 packs in total. And I immediately started writing this record. And I just channeled and I wrote it in about 6 weeks, with no filler, mind you. But just like, I know what I'm doing these days. Since I had spent such a time in the vacuum of being completely inspired, it was not lost on me to be completely inspired. And we didn't really... there was no like, this will be a backwoods record. But in my heart, I read the Metaphysical Room and I knew who I was fucking in company with. You know what I mean? Yeah. So pushed myself because I was back in the cockpit, the crow's nest that I adore so much. And then pushed myself because of the ears I hoped it would bend. You know what I'm saying? And so... And that's the same way that we came about the holes for the features on the record. Is I heard these beats immediately. I wrote what I was going to do. And the whole time I was like, I think Mike Eagle's supposed to be on this. It's this dark beat. I'm doing dark humor. Micah 9, I'm like chopping, you know. Everything spoke. And then the Woods song, I was like, this is the fucking Woods beat. And I'm going to drag America and white culture because that is where I know I can get my pen to draw a Bloodworth drawing, you know. No idea what Woods would do. Same thing on the Eagle song. You know, I just was like, I know my place. And then this was a really cool record because I did picked a beat someone would sound great on that Dove and I knew, did my part and sent it to them to finish. So no longer am I like, there's a thing with rappers where it's like, I don't want someone to show me up or I'm going to re-record my verse. They were too good. I was like, no, this is where I'm supposed to be. I hear these people on it. All I'm going to do is ask them. You know what I'm saying? And then they're going to do their thing. And I think it really resulted in something interesting. And then, you know, there was this thing that just kind of happened naturally where Dove sent me these beats and the beat packs don't necessarily have like a B section. So, and something I've been going along with for a long time is like, I've made over 50 albums. So that's a lot of songs. It's just many, many songs, right? I'm not winning a fucking Grammy ever, ever. So I'm done with anything that's conventionally song structure. If I don't want a fucking
Yeah.
bridge, if I don't want a hook, that's fine. I'm not over here making bops for people. I am like, this music is not for airports. It is not for gymnasiums. It is not for doing your hair. It's for fucking listening to, man.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of the opposite of the gym music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gym
No.
music is like, I can count to 10 repeatedly over this. I'm not making some shit that supplements your lifestyle. This is my life. This is my meaning and my purpose. I'm just trying to get it right again, make something that calls that in more. And, so yeah, no fucking hooks, no choruses. I didn't really realize. At first I was like, I feel like this is all like the art of the verse. And then towards the end, I just kind of realized we made 14 songs with nary a fucking thing to repeat, no filler. Because honestly, hooks, yes, you can sing them with the crew, but also it's filler,
Like by definition, a hook is filler.
Correct.
Like and
It's
and,
repeated.
and
It's repeated.
like filler doesn't necessarily need to be a bad thing, of course.
No.
But like it is filler. Like you're
Yeah.
so right.
This is not a condemnation of the hook. I'm here for
course,
hooks.
yeah,
Whatever I'm doing, hooks. I've done them before. I'll do them again. But there was something really pure about this in not doing that. And so we really, and then also without speaking like two cats, Dove was not sending me the same beat twice. And I was like, all right, we are not doing the same thing twice on this
He
record.
never does.
No, and for me, yeah, and I was like, well, that's perfect because I want to do that. I want to channel a different, and I think this is born out of me being a mimic and me being style elastic. I'm listening elastic, I'm appreciation elastic. So I was like, all right, I'm going to flex all these. I'm going to write about what this beat is telling me to write about. And then I'm going to take a second and I'm going to summon a style that is for this beat exactly. And the two shall intermingle, and then once I do that, I just sat in the booth and threw away good writing or mediocre writing that didn't fit the style that this music was calling out of me. So, it's this, it's very careful and gilded, but then it goes into the thresher of making it fucking get captured.
Right.
And and so did that with Dove, and then me and Dove worked fucking perfectly together, man. He's an amazing producer. He's a great mixer. I started mixing. We didn't mince words once. And then the other thing now is, I'm done. The big thing for me was like being on a label, and going back into, I think Backwoods is the only part of the industry that isn't industrial. It's the best place to be for artists like us. But I definitely was like, I don't want to do stuff like this. This is meaningful connection and original content we're making because we're connecting, but I'm done with every aspect of the industry. It has nothing to do with making good music. It has to do with the allegory of career, but
Right.
music career. A career is something that pays forward and gives you fucking Medicare and Social Security and is this like long thing that cares about you, not just now, but later. Music is not like that. Music career is an oxymoron. It's ageist. It's all the ists, every single ist it can be, it is,
Right.
And so I was done, but coming back, I realize now, and thanks to Backwoods and my own ethos, I channel the album. I make sure it's done, and then I immediately start channeling the artwork for that album, and I make that art, and then I'm fucking done. I am fucking done. I am on to the next work of art. And sometimes going on to the next work of art just means being malleable again, taking influence, taking imprint. I'm not exactly sure what the next thing will be, but like, that's it. I'm not losing sleep over expectations. And we just dropped the record out of nowhere because Woods thought that was an interesting idea. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm not trying to be unsigned hype. I'm not trying to blow up. I am done with the industry's affects. So why not just drop an amazing record with no notice? Let it have the impact, even in this world where it's signal amongst noise. Who gives a fuck? Play by your rules. Take Billy Woods' advice. It's good stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna say like it's gonna like it's gonna find the right people, and it's
Yes.
already found the right people.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
like even being at the show you and Shrapnel did a month ago, like seeing like a lot of those people in that crowd were pretty young, like younger than me
Yep.
even, and like seeing them take you in and like your style and like your presentation, like I was just, like I had one of those moments where I'm like, damn, this is like there, like there's some people in the crowd who are like old enough to remember like everything you've done, and then there are
Yep.
some people who are kind of like in the middle where like I know like the handful of things I know,
I know. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and then like there's people who have no idea who Dose One is, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, Dose One is on Backwoods. I love Backwoods, and like seeing those three groups of people like come together and like witness what y'all did with this album was like really special for me. And
Yeah.
like the four songs that really stick out to me on my re-listens are the Mike Eagle record, which you already mentioned. The Mike Eagle record, I want to say Untouchable is my favorite song on this
Me
album.
too. Me too. Me too.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, but yeah, so it's the Mike Eagle record, the Woods record, Untouchable, and No Cops.
Yep.
Those are my four.
I'm here for all of these. Well selected. Yeah,
those
I
are my
think
four.
there's something about Untouchable, man, that is like getting me somewhere new that I haven't been. And I'll be honest, like the biggest influence for that is the love, appreciation that I have for and the influence of Ka in my life. Rest in peace.
Rest in power to the
There's
gods, man.
because I was hanging out with an old homie. Funny how memory works. I remember the moment, but not the motherfucker. But I was showing him Ka, and his sage takeaway as a lifelong rap listener was like, yo, this is fast rapping, but slow. There is no space. There is no more space. This is full, and that, in order for me to like really be like, to find my version of what I can do in that takeaway was basically like, all right, if I'm going to completely slow it down, I need like a consternation and a gravity to what I'm writing about to have that confidence where bedazzling you with chops, you're not missing that. You're getting this at a slower pace, potent, little richer. It was something that I have always done a bit of, but I had not mastered. And so on this record, because of Dove, because of the bouquet of beats, I was like, all right, each of these things I'm going to execute. I'm going to figure out some of the things I never did for myself. And Untouchable is just like potent and pocket and slow and almost letting people in without letting a layman's ear lead. So there's like an approachability to Untouchable
Yeah.
that even some of the lyrics don't really have, but it feels that way,
Yeah, it's like that song feels like it feels purple and blue to me. It feels like drapes on like a on like a 62-degree night with the windows open, and it's
Yeah.
just like blowing like
Yep.
it's just like these waves of blue and purple, and then you come in with like the first line is just like to touch your truth without gloves, and you're like growling this line.
Yeah.
And it's just like like perfectly sets the mood, sets the tone, and I'm locked in. Like
Yeah,
that's
man.
the one, like I was listening and like taking in like all the, like there's so many different styles, and so there's so many different styles, you take on so many different voices and just like so many perspectives, and like some songs are funny, some songs are serious, some are rap very fast, some are rap very slow, and then this one just kind of like it just grabs me every time.
Me too.
Like I had never thought about the Ka comparison, or like at least like the Ka influence or inspiration being in there, but like now that you say it, it's like considering how diaristic and straightforward Ka's music has always been. Like I don't know that I would call this a straightforward song, but I think it's the closest thing you would ever make to a straightforward song.
Yep,
Like
yep,
it's like it's very
100%.
direct. Like your writing is so direct. Like the things, and like you're not like there's less like illusion and flowery messaging, and it really does feel very like direct.
Yep.
And I think that's and like I think that makes it different compared to damn near every other song on here, which like I love this whole album, but I think for some reason like this song being as direct as it is about you and your relationship with Dove, and just like you're just kicking shit. Like
Yep.
this is the kicking shit song, you
No, it
know.
really,
And like I
yeah.
think that like that speaks to me as somebody who loves a good kicking shit song. So
Yeah, and there's
yeah,
like that was the one I think I wrote that second, right away. I knew I wanted to get blood on the walls, and how. But that's, the joy is like I was saying about like I'm not winning Grammys, so fuck song structure when possible. Um, the same can be said for everything I've ever done before. There was no formula that made me famous or rich or better off than I was, And so remaining adventurous, challenging myself, and all that, it's not always crazy town, man. Sometimes the challenge is like getting the pen and holding someone in their seat for 2 minutes with your
yeah,
slow writing and your aware delivery, like capturing in a way that doesn't, they're all doing the same thing. Really, my friends, sage takeaway from Ka is what all that shit is doing when it's done well. If you're rapping fast and the writing is good, someone's kind of holding their breath, like, whoa, whoa, it's still going. And the same thing can be
yeah,
done with a slow flow rap. You could just have someone be like, oh, this is still happening. It's like, so yeah, I guess if anything, like, it's not about making songs, and this record is, I think, a testament to that. It's like with live, it's like how do I get you to walk across the water to where I'm at and keep you there,
yeah,
and because no matter what, you're going to take away different things from what I wrote. You're going to hear different things, and you're going to have another record you want to listen to after this. But what is the call, and how do I keep people, and what am I keeping them for? It's not my own benefit. Yeah, so I also like Untouchable because it's reflexive. I guess dissing cops is also reflexive, but you can find yourself in it. There's
yeah,
aspects of Untouchable that you could walk away with and say to yourself at your shitty job or right before you do your art, or reflect that, it's like can be used by all types of people in a myriad of circumstances.
yeah. I just like it's funny that I would go to this as the more direct track when like No Cops exists, like, cause like
Right.
I think that's the other one, but like for some reason like I mean, like we're already kind of like there in terms of like ethos and perspective. Like I'm also very fuck cops, but
Yep.
like but I mean like I don't want to say who isn't, because there are people who aren't, but like it's yeah, this is, to me, before I ask you a completely unrelated question that I'm so curious about, the thing that I love about this project is that it really does feel like a, I don't want to say that every era of Dose One is here, because I don't think that's what it is. But it's like this really does, like, it feels like a sampler of everything you're capable of in terms of flow, in terms of writing style, in terms of speed, in terms of like sound, and just like feeling and tone and emotion and affect. Like it's every kind of song that you were capable of making at this period. And it really does, like, and I love the collage of the cover that you made, because like it really does feel like there's, like there's kind of like there's like a template nature to it, but there's also like nature in it. So like there's like there's kind of like a natural artificial thing going on, and I feel that natural artificial thing going on in Dove's beats and the way you approach the beats. Like it feels, like it feels like a, that's why it's so cool to me that you do the covers of all your of most of your projects, because
Yep.
like it's all the art is in conversation with each other. The cover is in conversation with the music, and like that's like that type of interdisciplinary holistic shit is like that's why Real Notes exists. You know,
Yes.
like that's why this platform exists.
And a finished
like,
work. You know, you love a finished
yeah,
work. That's what we've been talking
right,
about the whole time, you know. And then I think
right,
so for me too, and I haven't talked about this yet, but that when I did the cover, because I was doing a bunch of collages and like the water was going from I think this is warm to like, oh shit, some of these are getting really dope. And when I did the cover, I was like, I just put it down in front of me and I was like, yo, this is me in a hoodie hearing rap that I love for the first time. And because that's actually just lava from a black and white photo, and just my brain's getting fucking blown, you know. And I was like, that's me. That's what's in this music still that I make, you know. And yeah, man, I feel like I guess I think there's something to a record that stays in one place and keeps you there. And I think for me, this record is about all the other somethings that are in a record that like goes everywhere, but is made by these same two people. You know, like and I don't. Not every album needs to be like that. This one just is, you know, and it's for me, it's like a joy to make things like that and then make other stuff that doesn't do that. But like there's I guess the thing that I've always liked the most about rap, that I like the most about Micah 9, that I like the most about Saphir is, you know, I don't really want to know where you're taking me. I just want to be fucking took.
Damn,
you know?
Say that again, bro.
So like just
Say
drag me to where I'm going, you know, and I don't predictability. So to make something in an art form that is respecting how all that is made, but do it differently. You know what I mean? So like you don't need to be predictable to proceed yourself, to have a space in someone's appreciation. You know, you can actually like blow the door off the hinges and be you know, it's a testament to how I still feel about rap, about what Backwards is doing with rap, is like the book is not fucking shut. There is no motherfucking template that makes you all the money and the mansions and the bad baddies, and like there is an art form that is still being explored and still is incredibly potent despite all of its industrial aspects and career-like moments. You know what I'm saying? Like I think too, it's like a lot of the shit I see now, I'll see like a new guy. Instagram's always trying to show me a guy with face tats who's like a new rapper, whether he's on the radar or whatever, you know, wherever that shit's coming from. And I just, I don't think that you don't just need to, you can expand forms. You don't just need to obey them. You know, what do you, and also too, what I like about Backwoods and where rap is going right now is like, this is a larger conversation about music, about where you fit in the art that is music. I like all this fucking garbage on Twitter about like, that was the worst halftime show. And I'm like, what are you, like Benny Goodman and fucking Meatloaf? You know, but we have to be a part of that, you know? Like, I don't really like Prince, but I see him as a musical genius. And I've been like, Prince is garbage, and Dax, rest in peace. You know, I've had friends that are like, you need to sit down right fucking now and I'm going to school you on Prince being a genius. And I'm like, I see it, you know? But like, music, rap, we're finding our place in that still. And I will say, in the greater form of content and writing, everyone can get the dick except for rap. There has never been a more potent form for writing. Literally, it is established. I mean, that's something I just see motherfuckers not get. It's like, you know, you like all this space and chords, and I'm like, give me one fucking key and shrink the world for me and expand it at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Explain me something. You know what I'm saying? And like,
Yeah.
that is like a thing that I think rap has only done. It is one of the truly unique things about rap is that it is, it is like, it is this path of the pen. It is the path of like meaning it, of bards. It's literally the rebirth of we have poetry now in 2025 because of rap. You know,
Yeah,
I
man.
can't remember the last time someone was like, hey, do you have a moment? There's this Lorca piece I wanted to know, you know, like, but they'll play you this new Woods shit, you know. So it's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
I think it's our job to like contribute to. We need to make what we need to make, but you know, we're up against all music. We're up against finding someone who thinks rap is not music and playing them 3 songs in a row that make them immediately apologize for ever thinking that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's, you know, that's what I think we can all be a part of. And like, you know, it's important for rap, man. It gets pigeonholed, you know, and it gets abused still.
Right.
You know, like, and like, I think that there's a Tim Dog line. I think it's on, it's not Do or Die. Anyway, there's this part where it's the beginning of a song and he's like, hip hop ain't some shit. You could take it and put it in a movie with a bunch of fucking turtles. And he's just talking about the shit that I see constantly now. Whatever I was watching on TV last night, there was a commercial that came on for like, you know, whatever, Prilosec, and they're rapping, you know, they're like,
Yeah.
if you're feeling really blue and you got to know what to do, you know, it's like, and that has always been here, but like, you know, I don't know that that's happening as much with rock now. You know, it's rap's turn to be exploited, and it's still rap's turn to be found again and to be explored. So, you know, somewhere in all that, I'll make my mess, and it contributes to the good mess that, you know, all my peers have held up for so long. And and like that's that's what I love about the Backwoods core is like to make what is being considered the best rap, have it be considered that way, and it actually is. Mm-hmm. That is incredibly unique.
Yeah, it's rare.
That was not the case when I started. I haven't seen it for many rappers. I've seen it for like Kendrick. They're like, this guy's the best lyricist, and you're actually not totally wrong. You know what I'm saying? You know, he's great and he's innovative, and in touch with all the things that make doing it worth listening to, you know, but seeing that like a reception that fits the caliber of the artwork, dude, it's fucking rare as shit. I know that Aguirre, The Wrath of God was made with no money and under budget, and when Herzog did Fitzcarraldo and rolled an entire fucking barge over a mountain, it was not a function of $1 million from Universal Studios, you know. It was a function of actually getting a boat over a mountain, you know. And like I think so in rap, I think what was inspiring the most and what I'm glad I'm back contributing to is that its rap's potential and potency are far from completely explored. It is not like our world map where there's a flag on everything that even looks like land, you know. That shit's still fucking wide open, you know.
It's just like the real world in the sense that like we don't know all of space and we don't know all of the ocean floor.
Correct.
Like that's where we're at. So I 100% agree.
And that's a timeless form.
Yeah, truly. And like before we sign off, I didn't want to forget to bring this up because in the process of my research in the last couple weeks, I didn't know you did the soundtrack to Enter the Gungeon.
Yeah, do you play?
I play.
Awesome.
So I mean, like I'm a huge indie game person. Like I've been
Me too.
I've been playing indie games forever. You know, like since like at least the late 2000s. Like I was like really big into them in college, and like I'm still That's like my world. So like,
Well,
so
you're a
like
good
going,
man. You like indie music. You like indie games.
come,
This is true about you. You know.
come on, man.
Yeah.
I'm just a fan. I'm just like, so it's just like going to your page and seeing the Gungeon soundtrack. I was like, what? And I
No.
looked and I was like, oh, so you did all this. But then you know, like I read and I see, and you've been like, you know, like you've contributed to that. You've done stuff for Gang Beasts. Like
I did all
it's
of Gang
like
Beast
you
too.
did
I did
all
all
the
the
Gang.
sounds.
See, like
Yep.
you
Gang
know,
Beast
like
and
so,
Sludge Life. Also,
yeah,
if you haven't played, it's you know, that's the first game I was allowed to write, and it's literally all my things that were ever said to me on the street just put into a video game. You know, like
fire.
it's a unique voice in a wild world, influenced by hip hop, but not diluting it or co-opting it to give you hip hop game. You know what I'm saying? You know, so it's like, and yeah, and I'll tell you, indie games, no different than you. I met the guys on the scene after I did some corporate shit to get myself out of debt from doing music for music's sake. And I worked at Nickelodeon and I did like 30 shelled SpongeBob games and Facebook games. I did a Jersey Shore Facebook game. It was fucking a circle of hell and I hated it. And I paid in blood for paying in blood, right? So,
Oh man, yeah.
but as that collapsed, I reached out to some people and met the indie scene. And right away, these cats were like, we're jamming this weekend. In 48 hours, we're going to make a game. Do you want to do some music? And I was like, you're going to what? And once I saw the DIY ethos and that everyone's personality and technical ability was being siphoned into this thing, I was like, my lieges, you know, I'm at your fucking service. It spoke to me the same way that doing music for the right reasons has always spoke to me, you know.
Right.
And I just started like contributing to these things, and I just had a thing where I had to teach myself to do sound design and to compose. But I taught myself all the things I know. Daunting at first, but then I was like, I kind of got a knack for this shit, you know. And because I love video games and I love indie games, I just became a whisperer and was the dumbest dude in the room until I wasn't. Learned, more important than I learned how the industry worked, I learned how the art of making games work. And over time, I learned how to fit myself into that, you know, and now it's what I do for a living. And my purpose is still creating records for the sake of creating records only. And the two allow me to flourish.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for them, you know, both as like the forms that they are. And the thing about games is like, there's a game called The Beginner's Guide. Have you ever seen that? It's
I've never played it, but
indie.
I know what it is. Yeah.
So you can even just watch that game. You can watch a playthrough of, and it's like watching a film. The writing is so impactful. But when I saw that game, I was like, okay, all the art forms can go in this art form. You can put an entire film that just runs in your video game. You can have music, you can have writing, you can have visual art. You know, I was like, this is what cinema was in its heyday. Independent game making is now for being something that can encapsulate all the ways one wants to express themselves. And therefore, you know, with these procedural, interesting games, you create a movie you can always play again as opposed to watch, you know. And I think like it's definitely a high art. Also, things like Gungeon are just about like getting your hands sweaty and losing yourself. And I think, you know, and for me as someone who struggles with like what's good and bad about money and work, and this is going to infringe on my greater artistic integrity over time and all these things. At the end of the day, video games, I'm making money off joy. So like, you go to hell, everyone's going to hell. And when I get to hell, there'll be all these people over here that made it off of like sweat and some form of modern slavery. And I'll be over here like, dude, my shit is joy. I'll be over there with like a couple magicians, some other, I don't even know who gets over there, you know, but it's like, there's something about that I really was like, I can work as hard as I did on albums. And this is actually in a space in society where it's not getting bootlegged to high hell and its value hasn't been taken to $1. You know, there was no getting me out of debt when the highest price I can put on my work of art is $1. It's, you know,
that's real, man.
Seriously. Yeah, that math hits you in your heart. And I started to do that math, and I was like, I have all this debt from everything always being a dollar. These dollars will not get me out of this debt that $1 has gotten me into, So,
Right.
and I think the big thing for me was like, you're gonna have to reinvent yourself and work just as hard in a whole new medium. But it just showed me like you're not cursed if you want to mean it for your whole life. If you want to have value and create. It's not a hard curse, it's a soft curse. You just might have to do. I think about this a lot. If the young kid that's like his head's blowing up on the cover of All Portrait No Chorus, the kid that like got into the artifacts and fucking all this shit and was loving rap, if you told that kid that like, hey, the world will take care of you financially if you just stop rapping on your music, I would have been like, fuck you, I'm not doing it. I never would have accepted that. But the truth is like this thing that I'm singular at and drives me to do all the other arts I do. The world started taking care of me once I stopped sticking that on stuff. How do I explain that to another 16-year-old or a 47-year-old? Like, I'm not sure. Everyone's quest is their own, but it's like, you might have to reinvent everything, but you can be a career artist. And I think it's like, to each their own. I actually wish everyone a creative gig that absolves them of the debts their other creative gig thrust upon them.
Man, to say that, my God.
I wish it, even on a dickhead, I kind of wish it. I wish it because maybe it'll undickhead them. I just like, there's a thing. Yeah.
You're preaching to the choir right now, man.
And amen, man.
I had a similar conversation last season with my man DJ Rude One from Chicago, who's incredible producer and DJ, put out this great album called Upper Space, and he's somebody who kind of like he has a whole other day job that like gets him a decent amount of breach, and he still DJs and he still makes music because he loves that. He's not he's in a position where he's not beholden to like, oh, I need to sell X amount of records or I'm not going to be able to make food for the next year or whatever. Like he's kind of carved out a life where he's just doing it because he wants to do it, and he doesn't have to worry about the rest because he's got something. Like he's managed to find a way to fuel his creativity and his, I hate to use this word in this context, but like practical skills.
Yeah.
And like make that into a job. So like like obviously, like you said, to each their own. Like this is like, for now, like I'm not making my money off of this.
Right.
I make my money from writing and from. I guess it's crazy to say this, and I don't want to sound like I got a huge fucking head, but like I get paid to do speaking engagements. That shit's kind of crazy to say out loud.
That is fantastic.
But like, it's not a lot, but like, like I'm like I'm getting paid for one soon, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool. But being like, I say that to say that, like I'm at a point in my life where I'm making money through means that I didn't expect to be making money from. 10 years ago, I thought I was going to be making all my money writing. And for the most part, I still am. But like, this is starting to generate a little bit. Other stuff is starting to generate a little bit. And it's just like, like seeing the way you move through the world and the way people like Rudy move through the world and like the way like Woods moves through the world. Like there's so many other people I could shout out, but like just understanding that like, you can stick to the one thing you love, and that can be the thing that fuels your passion, but you also don't have to be beholden to that your whole life if you don't want to or if you can't. You can everybody has it in them to molt and change. Like it shouldn't have to happen all the time, because you should be able to do one thing and be cool.
Yeah, but that that's like, this world. Yeah, you can't even be you can't even be a corporate slave in this world in this day and age. And make it out intact with your watch, your engraved watch, and your whatever else. So like, and I guess too is like, as you're forced to grow, mostly some of it's for survival. How do you blossom in that change and not just become bitter?
Right. Exactly.
how do you
I have this
not?
conversation with people a lot too.
Yeah,
You know.
and because that's a you thing. That's for each individual, and then like I don't know, man. I will say too that what took care of me financially. Actually, this is something to be real transparent. I wish this on all creatives. What took care of me is my work ethic.
Yeah,
It's,
that's the one
it's
too.
it ain't my fucking. It is not my family. I didn't come from money. It is not lottery luck. I don't have fucking any real luck. I have bad luck. I don't have good luck. You know what I mean? And it is most certainly not what I'm singular at in this world. It's my work ethic, and it has been a part of all the things I've ever done. But it was that like found me somewhere where my value in the world can actually match the value I put into things,
Right.
And the other thing too is like writing and music for a living. These are two things where even if you are worth your weight in gold, if they're now paying in lead, you got to figure that out for yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
No.
like
Oh, I know.
they got shekels. They're out there giving us shekels and shit. And it's like it's very like it's a fraction of your worth in that world, but that's the going rate. And so
Yeah, bro.
everybody's got to figure that out, and like and then you know what else they got to do? They got to keep their that inner them that precedes that got them to all these junctures. They have to keep that free of titration and dilution and corruption, to the best of their ability. A couple songs about how bad it's been to go through what you went through are good, but a whole album just sucks. It's too much.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? So everybody's got to figure that out. How do you still spin joy on a lathe that only takes toil?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And like how do you get back to that? Like how do you feed that raw you that's in there, like to bring it all the way full circle, like that thing that's inside of you that like was there before the world molded you, like that's what like what better way to tie a bow on this shit, like.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I think a lot of people too, they mistake that original glow that everyone has before the world gets to it with being childish.
Yeah, that's real.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about that glow that still needed to like learn English and all the things it didn't totally grasp yet. Possibly that the perfect you that's before all that stuff has none of the joys of art and expression yet, because you were just
Right.
for me, I was just tracing Garfield or whatever the fuck I was doing before I was fully formed. But that getting that out and getting that into the art that you create is why it's original. Most certainly, your music will not be original because of all the gangstar you memorized. You know what I'm saying? You got to add on to that.
God, I mean, like, I feel like this conversation could go on for like 2 more hours. This has been so crazy.
Yeah, it's great to
But
get to know you, man. Really,
honestly,
yeah, truly. Always,
Yeah.
always here for you. And anytime I can participate in what you're cooking, you just fucking ask.
you and me both. Yeah, I mean, like,
Same.
it's like the feeling is beyond mutual, bro. But before I get to a proper thank you, Doseone, Adam, if your life was a movie, what would it be about?
Oh fuck. Whew. Man, it would actually be about. I think survival is always seen as like curing flesh, and like using every part of the buffalo, outliving a tiger encounter, but there are aspects of survival that are actually this beautiful, complex, singular, artistic expression of what it is to not be dead and to be human, And so I think there's like, I myself have always struggled with what is surviving and what is creation, and how can I just, if I got to eat a plate full of survival, can I at least have a spoon of creation with that? Can I just a spoonful, just a tablespoon, And I think It would be about that. It would be about where survival and like the singular manifestation of an individual as a version of creativity overlap.
So you're saying you'd make Grizzly Man?
I would make Grizzly Man, yeah, but it would be house cats, and they all eat you. It's worse, it's scarier. It would take 20 house cats to eat a grown man, so a little gorier. No, just but definitely though, I think yeah, there is a thing that we all get out of touch with our original survival instincts, and I think I can hear that in shit. I can hear someone who went from incubator to perfectly safe nest,
Yeah.
And what I like is hearing the grit, hearing the gristle.
Yeah, same, man. Like, yeah, I'm the same. That's definitely the most, like, it's not even just attractive, but it's just like I don't know. I'm just attracted to shit that's authentic. Like like some people are that like timid, safe person, and like they make that good. They make that like they don't hide that that's them.
Yes.
Like and I think that's where the value lies. But like I also am more attracted to like the grit too. But like I think yeah, that's such a great way to put. I'm still wrapping my head around that. But
Yeah, because
man,
survival
yeah.
will eat. It breaks my heart when I see an artist let survival eat what they did singularly and beautifully. When survival will eat fucking cockroaches, man. Survival will eat small fishbowl rocks for dinner and keep going. And when it gets to eat a person's purpose and art and leaves them as husk to pay bills, worst shit in the world. It happens to I think about it all the time growing up in the city. Like it wasn't always like a a young death. Sometimes I saw a young stifle take an artist from this world before they even did it.
Yeah.
And like it's the same thing. It's the tragedy of war. You bomb a whole city. You don't know how many fucking Einsteins you just put down before their ability to find complex physics, and that's the same fucking shit for all these artists. It's like the world gets the best of you and it starts eating something it never should have been allowed to even be in the same room as, which is your inner you, what you can really do in this world. It's a fucking husk factory out there.
Yeah, bro. And like for anybody who manages to escape that and not get turned into a husk at any age, because like,
Yes.
there's people who burn out before they hit 20, and it's not anybody's fault. Life
Nope.
just happens like that. But to see you having gone through having molted as many times as you have over these many years, and to just like still be here and be fulfilled and be like be brave enough to give us the stuff that you're to just give us like it's
Yeah.
brave to do what you do. So like thank you, like as like as someone who's a fan, as someone who's like a writer and like a recorder of all of this stuff that we do. Like it means a lot to see and hear you think all this stuff out. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's not lost on me. It's not lost on me what you're giving to us and what you're putting down. So like just like as an observer,
No,
and a
and same for
person,
you.
like
It's
thank you.
really important that you do what you're doing, because in this world where it's signal voice versus noise, and your record is old, the next Friday after the Friday it's released, there is more than just the album. All of the albums, and what you're doing is like literally going into these conversations concerned for that and drawing light to that. And it's like it's something that honestly, man, it was never done that right. A lot of the articles, even on the biggest, on Bjork, who they were paper thin, and puddle deep, So it's like, I think what you're doing is really cool, and it's actually giving dimension to a lot of artists that these days are probably not in it for the money, So they deserve it in a way like never before.
Yeah. I'm just happy to play my part. I'm happy to be a mouthpiece and just I don't know. I'm just happy to be here. You know, like
Yeah, man.
I really don't take people's trust for granted when it comes to stuff like this. So like, thank you for your time and
Thank
for the
you.
work. Like,
Yeah, man. Same, brother. I really appreciate it.
No doubt. Thanks for listening. Shout out to y'all for making it this far. And shout out to all the black people listening too, because y'all really impeccable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend to come through next time. 1.